the Radio Today podcast with Jen Sederhelm.
Hi and welcome. In this podcast, your chance to have your say in commercial radio and audio's 2025 code review. Mix 106.3 on top in the ACT. Steve Ahern is at the NABShow. Some more changes for Ahern, plus the return of Susie O'Neill to Nova, and the National Radio Airplay Chart Song of the Week. This year, both community and commercial radio will see its codes of practice reviewed and updated. The ACMA has already approved the revised Community Radio Broadcasting Codes of Practice 2025. It comes into force on the 1st of July after a 3-year consultation process. Now, the Commercial Radio Code of Practice is under review, the first time in 9 years, with the current version registered in 2017. The code covers material not suitable for broadcast, accuracy and fairness in news and current affairs programs, advertising material, Australian music quotas, procedures for handling complaints related to possible breaches of the code, broadcasts of emergency information, and promotion of gambling and betting odds in live sports coverage. All stakeholders, be it radio listeners, industry members, community representatives and employees, have an opportunity until May 18 to have input in this review as part of a public consultation. ARIA and the PPCA have put forward their hoped-for changes to Australian music content. The ACMA and CRA have both outlined areas of concern, which you can read about in detail on the Radio Today or Radio Info websites. But you have a window to share your own concerns and offer input to the review. Any submissions will be shared with the ACMA unless it is clearly marked as confidential. The next step after this consultation period will see CRA prepare a proposed final version of the code before submitting it to the ACMA for registration. Submissions can be sent to codes@cra.au, codes@cra.au. The consultation period closes May 18, 2025. Heading to Canberra now, Mix 106.3 has further increased its lead in GFK Survey 1 2025 of the region, with a quarter of the listening audience tuning into the station. Kristen and Nige on Breakfast had a 5.4% increase to a 26.5% share of audience aged 10 plus. Earlier this year, it was announced through unusual means, bus advertising before any on-air announcement, that Mix 106.3 stablemates Hit 104.7 was getting a new breakfast team. The new team is Rod Cudahy and Gabby Elgood, who moved from Mix 106.3's drive program, Canberra Wrapped, to Hit to replace Wilco and Courts. With that change coming mid-survey, the station saw a 1.5% gain overall to 14.7% audience share, but a 1.2% drop on breakfast to 13.3%, and that puts Rod and Gabby in third behind ABC Canberra's Ross Solly, who was up 0.2 to 14.6%. This is Ross's first survey, having taken over from Adam Shirley in October last year. Carrie and Tommy are the networked Canberra Drive show on Hit. They were up 3.8% to 18.2%, but more impressive was Larry Apley. He took over Mix 106.5's Drive permanently in early March and saw a 4% increase to a 27% audience share 10 plus. It was a positive survey for all the ABC stations except ABC Classic, but not so for the Capital Radio Network stations 2CA and 2CC. The 2CA local breakfast of Holmesy and Gemma dropped 1.3 to a 3.7% audience share, and 2CC's Canberra Live Drive program, hosted by Leon Delaney, dropped 1.8 to just 0.9%. The NABShow was held this week in Las Vegas. It is one of the premier destinations for leaders in the broadcast, media and entertainment industries, with around 100,000 people attending each year. It was first held in New York in 1923. Because of a 2-year cancellation during COVID times, this year will be its 100th edition. Steve Ahern was there and gave us this update from the desert.
Hi Jen, I'm talking to you on a very hot desert day from Las Vegas, Nevada, where I'm at the NABShow 2025. I'm standing now, you might be able to hear it behind me, the hubbub. I'm standing in the North Hall, which is where most of the radio services are and technology displays, as well as some television broadcast transmission displays. It's a huge complex. I'm standing one floor above and looking down at hundreds of people coming through the doors this morning, and there's already hundreds more in the very large technology display exhibit hall. Along from this is the North Hall, where there's a lot of television equipment and also cloud storage displays. And further along is the South Hall, where there's production technology on display, software as a service, and a whole lot of ancillary support technology companies as well. So I'm wearing out a lot of shoe leather, walking between each of these halls to find out the best technology trends that we need to know about. Of course, we'll be reporting that on Radio Today and Radio Info. I will mostly concentrate on the technology. There are some new developments in safe cloud storage, which I'm impressed with. There's also a couple of very significant in-cloud software as a service evolutions of some of the software that we're familiar with in radio stations. And there's an interesting trend in audience measurement to cut back the threshold. You probably know that we measure ratings in 15-minute segments, and so to be considered to have won that 15 minutes, a radio station has to be listened to at least 7 minutes in that 15-minute mark. But that's not really fair when our digital competitors are putting out statistics that talk about 10 million hits to a page. But how long are they spending on that page? Is it 3 seconds? Is it 10 seconds? So the radio industry here has decided that it needs to rethink its threshold of radio usage to be able to compete with the analytics of the digital providers. And I think that's a very smart thing to do, and a trend that we may well be moving towards in Australia as well. So I'll bring all of these tips and more, lots of technology interviews with people in companies who are evolving the technology in radio studios, and I'll try and bring you a flavour of the energy from NABShow 2025 here in Las Vegas.
This week is the last in survey ahead of GFK Radio 360 Survey 2, which is out on Tuesday, April 29. There have been a few more changes within Ahrn's Gold network ahead of this. After more than 3 decades on Melbourne's Gold 104.3, Craig Huggy Huggins is leaving mornings and moving to breakfast on Cruise 1323 in Adelaide. Huggy had hosted afternoons on that station since 2005. In addition to his new breakfast role, Huggy will also be heard in Perth on 96 FM's Afternoon Drive. With that change, the Gold Network will introduce a revamped daytime lineup across Gold 101.7 Sydney and Gold 104.3 Melbourne from next Monday, the 14th of April. Dave Higo Higgins will take over mornings from 9am till 12pm, Huggy and Ugly Phil's old spot, followed by Tony Tenalia hosting afternoons from 12 till 3pm, and Steve Fitton will host Drive from 3 till 6pm. Huggy's final show on Gold 104.3 will be on Friday, April 11. He begins his new role at Cruise on Monday, April 28, the start of Survey 3, taking over from Kev Mulcahy, who has been caretaking the role since John Dean departed. Over at Nova, for the 2-week survey break, Susie O'Neill will return to the airwaves as part of the Mel, Matty and Susie O'Neill show. From Monday the 14th of April to Thursday the 24th of April, excluding public holidays, the new show will be broadcast nationally across the Nova network. Susie is joined by Mel Trakina from Nova Workdays and Matt Bassley from Star 104.5. The latter familiar with listeners after previously co-hosting Nova's recent summer breakfast show together. The RCSMM National Radio Airplay Chart Song of the Week is Australian artist Keita Alexander, who is performing in Nova's Red Room next Wednesday, April 16, and has just wrapped up as the support act for Dua Lipa's tour. The song's called Press Pause, and it's been championed by Today FM and Triple J, with Triple J making good on its promise to up the ante on playing new music, spinning the track more than 30 times in a week.
If I could keep you right here, I'd press pause on all the things you're thinking. Champagne on the chandeliers, look at us, we're still alive and kicking. Call me late night crying, I won't tell you everything will be fine, but I can keep you right here, I can keep you right here.
And that's all for today. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you next time.
Radio Today with Jen Sederhelm. Find more at radiotoday.com.au.
radiotoday.com.au